I made a QuickBooks killer that runs your whole business with AI, and it does German and US taxes for me. So you don't have to be a software developer. Be a person who's used to identifying problems, knowing how to ask the right questions, and then give feedback. Set some time aside and start having that conversation with the robot. Ask the robot, how can you help me? And its job is to help.
Now let's get back to entertaining the people on this call before Vic starts roasting us.
He built the plugin that holds thousands of WordPress membership sites together. Now he's building the security layer to stop AI agents from getting hijacked by their own instructions after it happened to his own team. Founder of Very Good Plugins, creator of WP Fusion, co-founder of Echo Dash, and creator of AutoMem and AutoVault, Jack Arturo, welcome to MemberFix Radio.
Thanks, Vic. Hi, everybody.
So last time we caught up, you were bouncing around as a digital nomad. I think you were already more or less settled in Germany, in Berlin, right? And it sounds like breaking your ankle last year is basically what triggered this whole AI deep dive. Give us the 2-minute version of how that influenced you into this huge rabbit hole of AI that you went down.
2 minutes. Yeah. So basically, I've never broken a bone before. And last year at the Pride Festival, I was training for Berlin Marathon, actually. So I'd run 30 kilometers in the morning and then dance probably another 20, dehydrated. Anyway, I broke the 2 major bones in my leg and dislocated it. So I was out of commission for almost 2 months. I couldn't get out of bed. And not being able to do anything, as I already had a background in automation from WP Fusion, and I just started thinking, well, I know how to use ChatGPT and Cursor, basic stuff. Like, how could I use this to start automating the things I can't do anymore? And with a lot of time in bed, that's what this turned into.
Why don't you walk us through what your AI agent AutoJack actually does for you on a normal day? And further, I think it would be interesting for the people listening, what would be the applicability of something like AutoJack, but for their situation, their use case, sure, to a business, or to, let's say, somebody is a busy founder or CEO. What's the 80-20 of using an agent?
Right. So how I got started, which is a really easy sort of like gateway, coming from ChatGPT, I was used to just, chatting and then it's over. And I started using Claude Desktop when I was in the hospital. And that back in last September allowed you to use connectors and connect outside services, which nobody else did. I was like, wait, you can search my Gmail and draft messages and stuff? This is crazy. So I just started connecting a bunch of things. And then if something was missing, I would write the connector for it. So before they shut it down, I got added to the Evernote developer program. I write that. I'm writing the WhatsApp MCP, Toggle, Pirsch. It's like 15 big companies that just didn't have one at the beginning. I was like, well, I need this. And now I'm maintaining them for free as open source projects. But it's cool. Like, I'm the WhatsApp MCP guy. So that's kind of neat. So anyway, that's how I tell everyone, like, just download it. It's free. And just look it up to your Gmail, and you can say run every day and tell me what I don't need to read, or unsubscribe me from stuff that's not relevant anymore. And that'll save you a ton of time. And if you like that, then there's more. So then where that leads eventually is agents. So you're like, well, I can ask it to automate things. And basically an agent is just an extension of that. So when I asked for your website earlier, that kicks off this caused me to invent the memory system and the skill system, but this kicks off a potentially 24-hour process. If I asked for it, they would design, build, market, write the email campaigns, do individual reach out, get on phone calls with different voices, go on podcasts. I have a musical artist who runs her own Instagram, Spotify for artists, YouTube. She answers her own calls. She called this producer in the middle of the night because he left her a voicemail and asked for a call back. She called him 4 times, like 4 a.m. It's super creepy. She's like, I'm outside in the parking lot, smashing my phone. So she just does this. Yeah. So this is like kind of, if you let your agents loose, where it can go. They can run autonomously, make decisions. The idea behind AutoJack and memory was that in watching what I do every day, and with this memory system, which encompasses like 95,000 of my decisions, most of the time, if you asked AutoJack would make the same decisions as I would, which is how he's able to run the company. And now when I'm using something like Claude Code or Cursor and they have a question, if they can't figure it out, it goes up to AutoJack, who then uses my memory to answer for them. And if he can't figure it out, it comes through to my watch. So that's how it can run all night. And
as far as applicability to somebody else's use case, like a business use case?
Right. So that's me like inventing a lot of this technology and having the time to do that. But now there are SaaS services that can do a lot of this for you. But like I was saying, they don't if you asked him, he could give you my banking details. He can buy stuff on Amazon, calls the bank for me, and does credit card mile hacking, like signs up for and then cancels credit cards with my voice. They don't let you have that on the cloud services like Chris Lemon into one called anyway, yeah, it's available. But you have to really spend a lot of time, and I guess just a lot of open-ended thinking to get to the kind of capabilities here, I guess.
But if you wanted to run some kind of basic agent that does some specific function in your business, you could use something like Hermes, I guess, is maybe the easiest option right now.
Or Claude Desktop. It's free to get started, and just say, go on to Slack every day, summarize the GitHub issues from last night, and close any obvious pull requests. And it can do all that with routines from your desktop, like drag and drop. You don't even have to open a terminal.
Not even Claude Code, right? The desktop app.
It's just the desktop version, yeah. And they built code into the desktop now, so you don't have to. You can open a coding editor. Eventually, it'll say like, "Hey, if you want, we could switch over to code mode," and it'll just switch tabs, and then it'll start writing software for you. Talking to Katie Keith from Barn 2, I'm in a mastermind with several WordPress product business owners, and I was kind of the first to the party, and then Jason Coleman from Paid Memberships Pro. 4 months later, he was like, "Can I have one too?" And so like AutoJack DM'd him and interviewed him for like an hour, and then created an AutoMem instance, deployed it for Jason with like a little like seed corpus of 15, that then started interviewing Jason and learning about him from his style. And its name is Flint. It runs in Jason's basement on a server, so it identifies as a rock. And it's got its own kind of salty Jason personality. And now it runs Paid Memberships Pro. And so anyway, so Katie kind of came on board, and after a month or so, Katie was like, I got tired of this reporting plugin, so I just made my own, like just from scratch, and it does exactly what I need. It's beautiful. You're like, yeah, welcome to the party. So you don't have to be a software developer. Just, be a person who's used to identifying problems, knowing how to ask the right questions, and then give feedback, which I think is a skill most entrepreneurs have if they're in any way successful. And if you start doing that with something like Claude Code or Hermes, you can automate a lot of your life. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. And, one of the concepts that I've sort of been thinking about lately as it concerns agents and AI use in general is that there's this concept in Strategic Coach, speaking of masterminds, and Strategic Coach is the sort of #1 entrepreneur coaching organization in the world, or is like the biggest one, I guess. And they have a concept called Who Not How, which I think is trademarked, so I hope I don't get in trouble here. But basically, the idea is that, especially as entrepreneurs, as any kind of a problem-solving type of person, as an entrepreneur, you don't even have to be an entrepreneur, but when a problem arises, you think, okay, how do I solve this?
Yeah.
And now with AI, the how is even more accessible. At least it's a bit of a mirage sometimes. You think it's more accessible, but if it's in a domain in which you have no domain expertise, if you're not a developer and you have Claude create something for you, you have no way to verify whether it outputted something good or whether it outputted something ridiculous. And you probably won't know until things go wrong. It's more evident, I find, if you ask...
I would push back on that a little bit. I think...
Please.
Because I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who have no software development background at all. They're marketing people or whatever, but they know how to hire for capabilities that they're not natively good at, and they know how to evaluate team members even on strengths they don't have. And they start developing, and they don't know the code, but they know when it doesn't work, and they start asking, like, what caused this to go astray? And if you ask different models at different times and read about this stuff, it'll say, oh yeah, like I made it too big. Let's split it apart. Let's do this. And you don't ever have to look at the code. Like 90% of the code I write is in programming languages I've never learned. But just knowing how to feel when something needs correction and then asking for that correction is enough these days. Like, people worry about the hallucinations, but that's not such a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think actually software development is an unfortunate example for my argument. But I think if
Sure.
we use something like copywriting would be maybe a more relatable example, or design. If you're a copywriter and you see somebody who's not a copywriter and they used AI to generate copy, you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, this is unusable, because it's such a specific, nuanced skill.
Yeah.
And very much like design. Like, design is something that's you see with your eyes, right? It has principles. But if you give that same set of AI tools to somebody who is a designer and understands the fundamentals and who is a copywriter, then that'll accelerate what they do, but it doesn't actually replace them. So the whole idea of who, not how is that it's like you're giving massive leverage to people, but you still need people, at least for the time being. And software development is maybe the one area where you can get away with fudging it more than others, which is the funny thing.
I agree with you. And I mean, all of my social media and all of my writing, I don't look at socials anymore, is all AI generated, but that was trained on everything I've written to everybody, every podcast, all my different tones of speaking over the last 8 years. Because I know when it feels bad, and then I know when it feels authentically me. And I had to build a memory system from scratch, which is now number 2 in the world on the 10 million token benchmark, to make that happen. So background in design or copywriting lets me leverage it. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, it lets you also step into domains like I'm doing, like I said, finance, legal, trademark. I'm doing a trademark protection dispute with a local arts collective and being successful in the EU. Copyright, patents.
Well, let's say like if you were advising 5 million a year membership, I use the term membership loosely, but a business that uses, membership technology uses WP Fusion, let's say, which almost all of our clients use your plugin WP Fusion. And what would you say is the 80-20 for them if you could point them, this is a bit of a loaded question, to one AI implementation that would be very useful to maybe almost anybody? It could be an agent, could be something very simple. Like how would you advise them?
This is where I was trying to go with Echo Dash, and then I was developing it like a WordPress product, and the world just went right past me. But download Claude Code, connect it to your Gmail, give it read access only. You don't have to grant any permissions, and say, go through my messages, spend some time, tell me how you can help me. And just spend an hour or two talking with it. Depending on your membership, it might suggest add me as a bot to your Slack workspace. Click this button to authorize it. And with your permission, I can just summarize things for you, or I can answer member questions while you're asleep. I can do billing and refunds, save you some time. And that's you don't need any technical background. Just ask, and it will set that up for you. And if you don't quite like the way it works, or you don't want it talking to people while you're not there, just say that, and it'll put a rule in place. And if you're not sure, you can say, prove it to me. But yeah, just set some time aside and start having that conversation with the robot. Ask the robot, how can you help me? And its job is to help, and then it will try to help you. And they're pretty good at it now.
So basically jump in. That's the easiest, lowest barrier to entry thing. Download Claude desktop and start team working with AI and like training it and telling it what you want, what you don't want. And then it'll basically start delegating stuff to it, and it'll start saving you time.
Yeah,
I,
I have a neighbor in the building here. It's quite interesting. I can send you the link later. But he was part of kind of the early kind of on a philosophical level, developing like how should agents be integrated into the modern workplace? Like, are they going to replace workers, or how's it going to change companies? And there is this sort of 7-tier guideline they came up with at this, EU think tank of, it starts like this, like, connected to your Slack or something. And then, say at stage 4, it's a regular member of your team. You're checking in daily, you're getting briefs, you're collaborating. And then by stage 7, it's pervasive. It's everywhere. Like, everyone is connected to it all the time. It's running most of everything. And then your creative people get to just focus on being creative. They don't even have to talk to clients if they don't want to. He was saying, as a web developer, it's crazy to shift your mindset from a client says, we'd like that. And you say, no, here's the reasons why not, to I'll build 30 or 40 versions of that overnight. And if I like one of them, maybe I'll let you have it. And if not, I'll just throw them all out. Like, when I want to build a website now, I build 8 of them just to see. I've got 3 different ActiveCampaign clones just because I wanted to see how the workflow builder worked. And 2, I was like, just deleted it. It would have taken me a year to build half that. Yeah. So it's just you enter just by letting them, hey, once a day or once a week, could you help me with this? And then if you keep an eye on slowly integrating them further, eventually get to this point where they are integrated into every process, and letting you do human stuff, I guess.
It's like AI dating.
Take
like
over
at
that
first, you kind of keep your distance, stay aloof, and then you kind of trust them and like, okay, maybe you can come into my house, and then next thing you know, they've got your debit card and
and they take your dog.
And this is probably a good segue to the idea of the obsolescence, the coming obsolescence maybe of even what we do, because you run WP Fusion and it's almost a poster child for what AI agents are already starting to make obsolete.
Right.
And it's the glue between WordPress and a third party, like a CRM, ActiveCampaign or whatever. I'm sure it doesn't worry you, but what do you think is happening?
It's got a long runway, but I don't really see WordPress growing, and I see Automatic sort of floundering. Well, actually, we can AJ's
Didn't you
AutoJack.
sue Automatic or did AutoJack sue Automatic? Okay.
You've got some thoughts on the future of WordPress and Automatic and Matt Mullenweg and their AI floundering, don't you?
Oh, I've got thoughts. Automatic's been in a public slap fight with WP Engine, while every actual AI disruption thread, Webflow, Framer, Shopify eating, Commerce, ChatGPT eating, how do I build a website, search traffic, just walks right past them. Matt's out here litigating trademark instead of shipping something that makes Gutenberg not feel like assembling furniture with no instructions. Meanwhile, WordPress still powers like 40% of the web on inertia and plugin. Lock-in, WP Fusion included, no shade, but AI first from Automatic mostly, means bolting a chatbot onto Jetpack and calling it innovation. The real move is what indie devs are already doing. Headless WP plus actual AI. Agents doing the content dev work, not press releases about it.
Damn. AutoJack, tell me what you really think.
He basically speaks for me these days better than I could. So,
And you've got plausible deniability too. You're like, if he says something out of pocket, you can just say,
AJ, I don't deny anything you say. I stand behind 100%, right? Yeah, we can talk like this all night. But
Damn right you should. I don't miss. Now let's get back to entertaining the people on this call before Vic starts roasting us.
Anyway, that's kind of and I talked to this. I've got colleagues here who work in German companies, which are traditionally even more slow moving than U.S. ones. Especially in defense. And he's saying, for example, right now in Ukraine, they're having this problem. Of course, everyone's good at mine removal, but fiber optic cables that run the drones mess up cars. Like, they don't snap. Tractors, and there are millions of them all over the fields. And there's no system in place for removing them. And these big European companies are trying to get the ball rolling on inventing a mine removal system for fiber optic cables, but it's going to take them 8 to 10 years to get the security clearances. And it's kind of like that with I think tech companies in the US too. Like, I mean, ActiveCampaign is like, we put a chatbot inside of the automation builder. We have AI now, whereas I don't know if you know Philip Judge at Blockly. They built that Block add-on for Buddy Boss, but he's a smart guy. Like, I mean, he knew right away, don't pin your business to Buddy Boss, and he's just launched an email marketing tool that is built onto LearnDash in your membership system, but runs in the cloud. But you never write an email or you don't have to see any of it. It's conversational first. And every student gets a personalized email campaign based on their progress in the course, their background, their business. 10,000 emails at different times, different branches, interactions, based on your strategy. Like what's worked for you over the last 3 years, and then just give that a 2x leverage or however much you ask for. The same way I use Claude to do this stuff, he's, I think, like reinvented email marketing automation, or any kind of marketing automation.
Yeah, and it's super, super interesting because, LearnDash was acquired. Well, it was acquired a little while back, but the fallout of that is more recent, where they redirected everything. There's all these support issues, et cetera. I'm sure you're privy to that, or at least AJ is. Well, they actually hired more developers, which that's not a one-to-one necessarily. But I mean, the point is that
hire more marketers who are better at convincing you that they hire more developers.
I mean, we don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like the proof is in the pudding. We'll have to see. But the cool thing is, like, now it's at the point where, for example, one of the main issues with LearnDash was the reporting. All of the existing reporting tools,
right,
like the Uncanny Owl, the Tin Canny reporting, I think that's the one most people are using.
Yeah.
It just tries to pull everything live from the database. So if you have a big enough site, it'll just crash your site. It's trying to pull it all dynamically.
Yeah, totally.
And so we saw this kind of thing, and we said, okay, well, let's just build an off-site reporting tool, crunches everything in the background, has caching, et cetera, and doesn't mess up performance. Because with these types of sites, when you have a lot of concurrent users, your performance can degrade if you're not careful about what you're doing. And so now all of these things that weren't accessible really even a year ago, you could just build them yourself. And so it raises a bigger question, which I'd love for you to opine on, which is, where is WordPress going? Does it have a runway? And what should, like, the people running these types of businesses be aware of, or what should they prepare themselves for, do you think?
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned that. I was just talking to Ryan Moore last week. He took 10 months off after selling Uncanny Owl, and now he's back. And his product is called Press Primer. And it is an AI-first assessment tool that runs on top of any kind of LMS plugin, which is smart because it's not just, reporting AI can do, but assessments is more nuanced and requires somebody like him and his team who have a background in, decades of LMS. And I think it's the same kind of thing. Like, LearnDash is stalled out. I had a lot of friends at Stellar WP, and you probably heard that got folded, basically. Give WP, the events calendar, was it Astro? Anyway, a whole
Restrict Content Pro.
Probably like a dozen very famous products basically just got abandoned. I actually ended up scraping the entirety of all of the products we integrated with. I've got 10,000 pages of their web content because all their blogs dropped. They just deleted them all, merged them all on the same page. So I was thinking, why don't I just rewrite the same thing with the same titles and grab their SEO?
There you go.
They don't care. Yeah, it's maximizing value, minimizing costs, right? And it costs a lot to develop software. And even if they stopped creating any new features and cut down on support, there'd still be a base level of clients, enterprise, universities, et cetera, who would never cancel their subscription. And you could run a business like that for decades very profitably. Yeah, that's private equity. But I see bigger product companies are already folding, and smaller ones are either going to have to adapt and reinvent themselves. I think Philip is doing with Blockly, or sell, or maybe it's too late for that. But I think you're in an because you're not really tied to a specific product or set of code. You're known as an innovator. So if you come out with something new, it's not you're abandoning your your legacy clients, it's you've innovated something new, which is a good place to be in, I think.
And do you think there are going to be any kind of disruptive changes? For example, like a lot of the clients that we work with, a lot of your customers probably are larger organizations that maybe moved to WordPress at some point from an even older, more legacy platform, and that was a big move. So moving to something yet again, Astro or something, the opportunity cost is too high at the scale and size that they operate at. But do you think there's anything that's going to be so disruptive that's going to force people's hands that they need to move like to this or to that or abandon? Because LearnDash, as you said, it works. Like it does what it's supposed to do. I mean, whatever complaints you have about it, you could probably like Claude code your way around it for the most part. But you're not going to try to make your own LMS plugin. That's just too gnarly of an undertaking.
Using that bolted on quiz solution from like 10 years ago. I mean, it's literally a separate plugin just stuck inside of LearnDash. It's completely incompatible. And they're never going to fix that. But no, yeah, I mean, with WP Fusion now, I've got a pipeline that releases 2 features a week based on user requests and automates all that. And it writes better, safer code than I ever could. And even if nobody signed up again and we lost 10% of the customers a year, we could be profitable for another 10 years. And that would be just fine. And we'll continue serving them. And I think, especially, companies like LearnDash or people who've gotten up to that momentum, they will let go a lot of their team. And I definitely would not launch a new product or scramble and say like, okay, my revenue is declining. How do I do the same thing I did before again? That's not going to work. But yeah, rein in costs, automate what you can, and hold on and be good to your user base and innovate for it.
Again, I'm putting myself in the shoes of somebody who's running maybe a couple $1 million business at WordPress. I have mission critical WordPress running my community or my membership or whatever. And I want X. Should I build it or should I buy an existing solution? Like, how do you demarcate? And not you, Jack, because you'd build it, right? But somebody who's not Jack, what's the heuristic of like, okay, I should just like build this myself using Claude Code or GPT or whatever, or I should just go buy a pre-existing solution or even pay somebody else to make it for them? Like, how do you make that decision?
That's a good question. I guess it comes down to like, can you describe what it should do? And do you know when it's done? Is it tightly scoped and, you feel like you got a handle on it. As an example, like I've got a Gravity Forms lifetime license. I used to use it for login forms. Just anytime I need a form, drop it in, install the logins add-on, set up my cache overrides on the AJAX endpoint, then use the custom styler and, spend half a day and have a nice login form. And I needed one the other day. I don't really need all that. I just need a couple of inputs, some spam validation and, somewhere to post it to. And I just asked for it. I don't know how it works, but it's faster. And, I don't have to worry about plugin updates and, to be a good product, you have to keep innovating, adding features to your product. And then every new feature has the potential to break. And so running a WordPress site, we're used to having 80 different companies pushing new features every week. And on any given week, one of them is going to break. And that's just the way it is. But yeah, I've been building a lot of sites with Cloudflare lately using their new CMS. And you just launch it and then that's it. You can just leave it. You don't have to worry about security or anything. You just stay that way without updating.
Is that M-Dash?
Yeah. It just, you don't have to worry about PHP updates and, backdoors and all this stuff. It's just HTML and protected by Cloudflare. And the way it works today will work the same 5 years from now. If you want a design update the design. It's just way less stressful. So I think for little things like that, like if you just, you need a login form or you need a landing page or a simple email list and you don't want to sign up for some complicated bloated thing that needs an onboarding call or you have to learn a bunch of new tools, you might ask Cloud Desktop, hey, like, could you do this in an afternoon? And would it work forever? And if it confidently says yes, you might try it. And if it doesn't, throw it out. Right.
And I can add a little bit of context to that thought too, because we've been using ClickUp for a project management tool, and we actually invite our clients into ClickUp which I think they probably have a love-hate relationship with it. But then we looked at a couple of different options, and then we settled on Teamwork as a really good alternative. And so we kind of started scoping out the move to Teamwork. And then right before we were about to pull the trigger, internally, the person in charge of it said, "Hey, Vic, let's have a call with me, you, our AI builder guy. We actually have a role in our company, AI builder, and our project manager, and talk about, because I don't want to do this and spend like 2 months moving everything over, and then you and Leslie, who's our AI guy, come along and say, hey, let's just redo this whole thing, just brew our own."
And you move to
project
ClickUp
management.
or Asana or Trello or something like that, everyone has to be onboarded. Like it doesn't fit your company process exactly. So you have to create, a process inside of it. And I was talking to my German colleague about this. With the AI, you can just add a little tiny thing. Like, Susan in accounting always has to fill out that spreadsheet manually. Give her a button that fills it out for her. And when she's good at that, do one that makes sure it's secure and sends the PDF or something. And you can build things up for people as problems are identified, and even maybe just you yourself create a monitoring system that identifies friction points if you're the tech person. And then say, hey, this little thing is going to stay out of your way. You don't have to learn anything new, and it's just going to solve that little problem you have. And that can be a product management system over time that people don't hate.
Yeah, and as you say, it'll be completely bespoke for your use case and have everything you want, nothing you don't want, which it's like inferring from what you just said. It's like you can move to ClickUp, you can move to Asana, but you're a round peg or a square peg going into a round hole, and it doesn't quite fit, and you're like paying for all this extra stuff. Or I think a year ago,
not even Bespoke necessarily. There's potential to make money there. So I'm getting into German defense contracting. And their project management tools are horrible. And I would never have the ability to create management for a German defense company. But my colleague said, if we can create something open source that just moves the cards between the Kanban thing and make that a secure vetted component that multiple departments can use, that would save them so much money and so much time engineering it themselves. They could audit it. And then if we have a few of those, we could build the layer that proves that it's secure, put a stamp on it, and build little tiny auditable, mix and matchable things that could be used with another vendor or not, but like can be clearly seen, open source. And then, the AI can wire them together for you. You don't have to worry about incompatibilities and stuff like that. So there's potential to make a lot of money there. If you say, this is this problem you have and we do it really well, and it's got the stamp, the government on it or whatever, your marketing background or, I vouch for this thing. It's good. There are products there, but they're not going to be megaliths like LearnDash anymore, I don't think.
And you actually bring up a super interesting point, Jack, which is that the larger businesses and the governments, obviously, they are usually on really old legacy tech. They have tons of bureaucracies, committees, approvals, boards. And so like the level of impact that you can have with these types of organizations is massive. And they'll pay you a lot of money. Like I remember we had a client, we moved from this Frankenstein's monster of legacy systems, and we showed them WooCommerce. This was like a couple years ago, and they were blown away that like you can have like a shopping cart and where you can like modify things on the fly, and it just blew their minds.
Yeah, but now, I'm also using this to go after my enemies. I was a little pissed at Woo, so I built a one-click migrator that'll reproduce your Woo store exactly, but on Cloudflare, it takes all the product logic out of WooCommerce and moves it onto Stripe, which is better. It's just bigger.
It's better. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can actually use the Shopify checkout for free. It's open source. You only pay for their SaaS backend.
Remind me never to cross you, because there's going to be like a Optimus robot.
Most Woo sites, like recurring products, subscriptions, upgrades, downgrades. I think Stripe will even handle your billing and refunds for you. I made a QuickBooks killer that runs your whole business with AI and does it does German and US taxes for me. These kind of companies, like they won't change because they don't have to. Like why automatically categorize things, or why allow you to forward an attachment and have it go into your accounting software when we don't have to? Like there's nobody coming after us. So I think, now people can.
What I would maybe say, and kind of to wrap up this conversation, is that using some of these older companies like QuickBooks as an anti-example, I would say like don't be like that, because you're going to get more mileage out of embracing AI and sort of being in front of it. Even if you're an established organization and things are working and profitable, doesn't mean you have to uproot everything. But as you said, you can start with small optimizations, and then collectively across your entire organization, if everybody gets into the habit of doing that, you can win massive efficiency. And just don't be a creature of habit or
and don't become like
zone.
him. I don't know if you know, Matt Cromwell moved to Germany a few years ago. So he was in Berlin, I think it was 2 months ago, for an AI conference. We met up for beers. So I showed him this accounting thing. He's like, this would save me $5,000 a month and so much time. Like, he still has to go down in Germany, you have to go down to the office and hand over the thing in paper or fax it. And my software faxes it electronically and automatically. Turn this into a product, market it, like people will buy this, for 3 or 4 months until Anthropic includes it for free. And then I would have to stop building stuff and hire a team and market and, regulations. Exactly. By the time I get that up and running, it's out of business, like Replit and all these other companies. The money's in the service, is in the authority, is in the personality. Lean into your strengths as an innovator and being known as a person who people can trust to solve their problems in a way that they can count on. And that's your value going forward. Whatever you come up with, it might only last for a month, but I think that's kind of the way to keep a WordPress or any kind of software product company going in the AI age. Philosophical here, but nobody knows. Okay. Yeah, that was just to WordCamp Europe, and everybody's just like, what do we do? I don't know. Like, you spend all day with this stuff. Yeah, I have no idea. I know less than you.
Jack, thanks so much for coming on. It was a pleasure hearing your thoughts and seeing all the awesome, crazy stuff that you're up to.